Welcome back to Talking Paranormal. My name is Chris. This is my friend Matt, and we talk about the strange and mysterious on this show. And today I think we're stepping into the weird of weird, dude.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited about it because it's kind of an off the wall. It's a off the wall one, really. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
You know, the way I feel, I always knew that when we started this show, we were going to explore some subjects that off the top people would automatically go, this is absolutely insane. And that's kind of the point, is to just discuss these things because in my opinion, dude, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So tonight we're talking about werewolves and dogmen. Okay. Now, on the surface, you go werewolves, come on. We're talking about the stuff of movies. Um, obviously legend. Werewolf legends have been going on since the dawn of time.
yeah,
Ancient Greece, obviously 1800s in Europe and France. Um, the idea of a werewolf, as we all know, is basically uh, a werewolf bites a human being and the human being turns into a wolf on the full moon, and you can kill it by shooting it with a silver bullet, right?
yeah. I'm
um,
very curious. I never looked into it, and I should have. Where the legend of silver doing the damage came from.
when you hear about these European legends, vampires, garlic, crosses, things like that.
Yeah,
And the werewolf in folklore was basically like if you had the curse of a werewolf, basically. Um, there's been rumors about evil possession, and that's how these people turn into wolves. There's actually a medical term called lycanthropy.
yeah.
That's what, like, werewolves are known as lichens, in the movies. But lycanthropy is a real thing where people believe they are wolves. And you hear these accounts, at least I have, because as a kid, I loved werewolf movies. They were probably my favorite out of all the monsters. I loved werewolf movies. They did something for me. Even the corny ones, like My Stepmom is a Werewolf. I remember that one. There's just the B movie horrors that weren't even scary as a kid were fun for me to watch.
Did,
So werewolves and vampires have always been some of my favorite monsters.
did you see the newest one, the newer ones, Wolves Among Us?
No.
Oh, it's a fun movie. It's a little campy, but
Yeah,
it is a
sure.
fun movie. I highly recommend it.
You know, our buddy Dustin is in the chat, and I know that Dogman is huge in Michigan. Um, and that Midwest, it seems like there are sightings of Dogman everywhere. So my question is, if there's rumors of a werewolf, did creatures that appeared to look like wolves really walk bipedally at any point in time? And do these creatures still exist? And is that where the folklore and legends of werewolves came from in the first place? Now, I didn't realize until maybe 10 years ago that there were actually, along with Bigfoot sightings, there were also sightings of very large, 7 foot plus tall, bipedal beasts that had snouts, um, fangs, and ears like a canine. That to me was remarkable. And you listen to some Bigfoot researchers, and they'll tell you that there's different types of Sasquatch, and so they lump Dogman in with that. But I don't know if you really can, And I question whether or not there really is a bipedal giant dog man creature out there. Where there's smoke, there's fire, and many people have been seeing these creatures.
So what I'll say about Bigfoot researchers trying to lump dogmen in with Sasquatch, that's them just hoping if one of them gets found, they can at least say we were right.
Yeah. um it is crazy because these things, I've heard their tracks are just super large canine tracks, which could be attributed to a large wolf, but I've also heard that there's three-toed tracks that they've been finding, um which is interesting because that changes the whole game. Because as we know, if you look at a dog step in sand, it's a dog print, looks very much like a wolf print.
Yeah.
um so when I hear stories about You know, and Dogman isn't the only stray away from Bigfootery where you hear about large bipedal creatures. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's, I hate to get too crazy, but I feel like maybe there's a way that these creatures, because I believe in alternate dimensions. It has to exist, multiverse, all that stuff. And I've heard some really strange occurrences of portals being opened, like for instance Skinwalker Ranch. A lot of people have heard of Skinwalker Ranch and the crazy things that happen there, and these researchers have said that they've seen these creatures walking out of basically holes in space, you know, portals right in front of their eyes.
Right
So
on.
as crazy as these things sound, because they sound crazy, like Bigfoot isn't too far of a stretch, you know, because we assume that Gigantopithecus was a real creature and that it's possible that that could be what Bigfoot is. And it's just, you know, a relict hominoid that happened to, you know, survive all these years. Maybe it's a descendant of Gigantopithecus, whatever. But then you hear these oddball stories, you know. You've got the Jersey Devil, the Mothman, Dogman, all. I've heard stories of giant bipedal lizards, like just the craziest things you can possibly think of have been seen by people, and not just one or two, multiple people. And
Yeah.
when you talk about them, you go, okay, these people are crazy. But when you look at the amount of stories that have been told, you have to ask yourself, how many people would actually come forward and say they saw something so unbelievable that people would automatically think they're crazy and they'd lose all their credibility, you know? So, and what kind of money and fame and fortune come from, you know, telling somebody you saw Dogman? You know what I mean?
Yeah, none.
I can't imagine any. You know, I don't know what these kooky shows on TV are paying people, but, and you hear some stories and you're like, you know, you're kind of questioning the credibility of the person. But when you get hundreds of accounts, then you start wondering. And of course, you know, we've talked about it before on the Bigfoot episode, bears walking on their hind legs.
Yeah.
And a bear could very well be mistaken for a giant dog. I mean, they're pretty much dogs, let's be honest.
I
You
mean,
know what I
and
mean?
then also that would attribute to the snout
Yeah.
and everything else. But I mean, man, I just want to believe that they're out there. You know what I mean?
I don't, because they scare the hell out of me. Like, I'm not scared of Bigfoot, but a giant werewolf looking thing that might be
12 foot tall gorilla wandering around the woods. That's fine, guys. We're okay. 7 foot tall dog on 2 legs. I'm out. It's a big nope.
doing research on the dog man and trying to find any footage of it is next to impossible. And when you do find footage, you kind of go, okay, you know, and it's so hard to tell these days with CGI and the quality of some of these videos.
Well, then
They
also
could,
just even practical effects are through the roof.
yeah, so many things can be easily faked. Um, which kind of, it makes it fun, but it also makes it frustrating because you're like, you know, show me something where I can believe. And that's why, like me myself, you know, I'm not like Matt. I've never seen what I determined to be a ghost. So naturally, my curiosity, it's getting to the point where I have to see a ghost and I have to see Bigfoot. I have to. That way I know that I'm not crazy for believing the possibility that it exists. You know what I mean? Uh, I honestly think that anything is possible. With all the crazy things I've ever heard of and researched, where I feel like there's a little fire in some of that smoke, I have to go, okay, I need to see it with my own eyes to 100% know. Because I'm the type of person where if I saw something like that, I'm I'm on the top of the rooftops going, this stuff is real, guys. I'm telling you.
Hey, homie, you say when? We'll go kick it at the Crescent Hotel.
I when you told me that you and your wife were thinking about staying there, I was like, man, that's there's just certain things in ghost hunting that I've heard about where you just have to be careful. Don't get too far into the darkness. You know
Oh
what I
yeah,
mean?
I mean, luckily, I will say this for the Crescent: there's never been really anything dark reported there.
Mm,
Just some odd happenings. Now, I mean, that's not saying there isn't something dark there. I mean, some horrendous stuff happened there,
sure.
but for the most part, like I don't know if you've done any research on it, but like the main ghost people see is the workman, and it was a carpenter that fell off some scaffolding when they were doing some renovations, like in the early 1900s or something like that.
Okay.
Um, and then that's the main one, and then there's a couple others. Like there's a child one, which, like I've already said, child spirits usually aren't a child.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, like I've seen a picture of the workman.
Really?
A friend of my mom's was staying there. I know this is off topic, but a friend of my mom's was staying there, and they were all sitting in their room having drinks and everything, and they snapped a picture, and you could see the hat, the head, the body, and then it faded out at the knees.
Weird.
Oh, it was cool. It was cool.
Crazy. See, I have to see, even if I was in a place and objects were moving, like I still have to see a full bodied apparition. I have to.
And it's rare. It's rare. It is
It is
so
so
rare.
99% of the times you go out ghost hunting, from what I understand, you don't see anything.
No.
But if you do, it will change your life. And I feel like if I look hard enough, I'll eventually find it. The question is, am I going to look hard enough and find something and open a door that I didn't want to open? That's the big question.
It's a dangerous gamble. I mean, I'm confident going to stay at the Crescent because I'm fully prepared and know what to expect.
Yeah.
And know to keep myself closed off just enough.
Yeah.
Like I said in that episode, don't go hunting for something unless you're prepared to have something attach or follow you or completely close yourself off from anything. I mean, it's a thin line, guys. Don't put yourself or your family through something crazy like that.
Yeah, there are risks. There are definitely risks. But so many people do it. I think it's just a matter of knowing how to protect yourself. You know what I mean?
It is. It's like going ghost hunting with a full open heart and willing to accept anything you see is like walking into the woods with a T-bone tied around your neck looking for Dogman.
Yeah. 100%. But like, when I think about things like Dogman and I think of how crazy it sounds, because for me, the werewolf folklore and stuff, it's like it starts dipping into the realm of kookiness, when you start talking about, curses and things like that. Now, is it 100% possible? Yes, I believe anything's possible. But like, I hear things about Bigfoot where you'll find a trackway and you will track this thing for God knows how long, and then the footprints disappear. Or you hear stories about UFO sightings coinciding with Bigfoot sightings, things like that. And I start thinking anything's possible. And it starts making me, it reassures me that there's more to this earth and this existence than we know about.
So one story I read touched on the Bigfoot sightings and even the Dogman sightings. One story I read was a farmer encountered a Bigfoot in a spacecraft in one of his fields. Okay. He saw the Bigfoot. He just saw the spacecraft, but he saw the Bigfoot. And the Bigfoot turned and looked at him, and he fired a shot and hit the Bigfoot. And it winked out. It winked. Like it gone.
Oh, I thought you meant like, hey.
Like I could try. No, I mean the best way to describe it is like a wink of light, like it gone.
Okay.
Like it blipped itself out of there.
Sure. And there's a lot of Bigfoot researchers they believe it's a flesh and blood creature and that there's nothing paranormal about it. I don't know. You've heard there are stories about people seeing mysterious lights in the wilderness when they're out hunting Bigfoot, and they're so far away from civilization that it's like, where are these lights coming from?
Yeah.
There's so many things to consider with this crazy stuff. And listening to the stories, I'm so open-minded that I don't automatically discount them as being possible. But not having seen it myself, it's hard to say, because it's so outside the realm of what in our everyday life we would consider normal. This is the stuff out of movies, things like that. It's like, but is it possible?
Well, it's like I said before, man. I think they release movies so that we just automatically discredit it as a movie thing.
the more we talk about that, the more I start to go, you're right, because I've always thought that they were conditioning us with the alien invasion stuff.
Yeah,
And they want us to believe that when aliens come, they're bad news. And I still am on, like, we'll talk about this someday because I've been getting knee deep for the past couple of years, and even more so now with some documentaries I've been watching, that the government is preparing to fool us with a fake alien invasion. And the aliens are actually, for the most part, benevolent, and they just don't want us to destroy Earth with nuclear weapons.
yeah,
And us humans, I think they're going to try to scare us. Like with all the movies, they always talk about it, and we've heard past presidents say, you know, new world order. We need to be a one world government. If there was a threat from outer space, we would all be better as one race under one government. Things like that. That kind of stuff scares me.
yeah.
Um, I don't think it's possible for them to pull it off. I do, as far as a new world order, I do think it's possible to pull off a fake alien invasion. I don't know if you've seen this footage, but over China, there was a city in the clouds. And this is real and documented. People saw a floating city in the clouds. And it's been said that there's a government project called Project Bluebeam where they're working with the technology to fool us with holographic imagery. There's a video of there's a school gymnasium, and there's a blue whale and waves and everything, and it pops out and it goes in, and it looks so real. This technology exists. I mean, if they wanted to, they could fake the second coming of Christ. They really could.
Oh yeah.
And that scares me. Have you had a chance to look into the documentary that I told you about? The second one?
No, I haven't yet.
Okay. All right. We'll save that. We're going to talk about that whole conspiracy. There's more documentaries, and there's another one coming out. It gets nuts, dude. If you think like Sir No Face, that was just one layer of this onion, dude. It got so crazy. Like, it blew my mind. And it took a turn that I did not expect it to turn.
Well, I mean, like with Sir No Face, what really got me was the fact that it's a government acknowledged haunted site.
Yeah.
That's what really got me. So I'm really stoked to watch the one you're telling me about, the part two. But I mean, I hate to say it, but Stranger Things part two came out, and that's where I was.
I totally hear you. This will open your eyes because it was weird for me because it brought in a conspiracy theory that I've been looking into for many years.
Okay.
And I want you to watch all of what's available. I think the last one in the series is Phantom Rider, and there's another one that's coming out that's called Paleface. But uh man, I'm telling you, it, like I said, it just blew my mind because it's a conspiracy theory that I've been looking into for many years, and to hear it again in the exact pieces that I myself have put together from other stuff that I've watched, it really cemented my idea of what is going on this planet. And it's kind of scary, but when the government's involved and crazy things happen, like, you have to watch this documentary. And we'll once you've seen them all the ones that I've seen, we'll do a show about the review of all the videos and what we really think,
Okay.
because it's that good. Like, I'm not even, like I told you, you start the second one, you're like, this is a little weird, but it goes hard. Let me tell you, like, I was sucked in. So definitely check those out. Dutch Guys says, what do you think about July 14th, 2010 in China? I'm trying to think.
I don't know anything about it.
Well, that's why there's Google. Let's find out. So Matt, what do you think about the werewolf folklore and legends that you hear about?
Well, we've talked about my beliefs before on legends, and I believe if they're involved in as many cultures as they're involved in, they have to be based off something. So, given the fact of how widespread the werewolf mythology is, and for how long it's been around, there's something there. I mean, was it like a? See, I feel like I get sounding crazier and crazier on some of these. What if? Now, this is just my own theory. I'm sure somebody else out there shares it, but I mean, who knows? But what if it's not necessarily like? Now, keep in mind, in ancient Greece and medieval France and everything, anything out of the ordinary would be considered a curse.
Yeah.
I mean, anything out of the ordinary would be considered the wrath of the gods. the wrath of God or a curse of a witch or something like that. You know what I mean? But what if there was a group of people or beings that could shapeshift? Like shapeshift, what if that's just what it is? It's a group of people that can shapeshift, and I mean, and that's just what it is. Like it wasn't so much a bite would curse you. Maybe that was spread to make people fear that group of people.
Could be. I also, when I look into ancient cultures and stuff, like you look in ancient Egyptian imagery and you see uh, deities with the heads of dogs. So it's not uncommon in our history to have, um, even in South. So in Egypt, you've seen dogs and heads of lions and things like that. And then you go to South America and you see heads of lizards on humanoid beings. And just crazy stuff. So like I said, that should be the slogan for this show. Anything's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like ancient Egypt had it going on. Like they have dinosaurs in their murals before fossils were even found. They have giants in their murals helping move the blocks to build the pyramids. I mean, they just got it going on. They're a melting pot of everything that would be considered weird now. Like people are what was that movie, 10,000 BC or something like that? Um, the ancient Egyptians were building the pyramids and they're using woolly mammoths. People are like, well, the woolly mammoths weren't still around then. We don't know. We weren't there.
Yeah,
Like
no,
everything,
for real.
everything we're talking about is a flipping guess off of
Yeah.
some bones and scraps of hide that we find. I would much more believe artwork than our guess.
Yeah, I still think that our government knows more about our history than they're willing to let on, and that scares me. Why would they not let us know the true history unless it was so mind-bending that they would be afraid of mass hysteria? Much like they've been hiding the UFOs and things from us, and they're slowly leaking things out. And like I've said, when the government starts, the most untrustworthy body in the world, it's got to be the U.S. government. And when they start saying, "Okay, there's UFOs," and here they are, and they
Yeah.
give us the shittiest videos they can find. I go, okay, guys, okay. They even, and it's funny that they did it during the height of COVID. You know what I mean? They start releasing this information. And then I, I did not see any of my friends post anything about this on Facebook, and I didn't myself. But I start hearing these articles or reading these articles about them admitting that they have recovered spacecraft and they have this metal that's stored in some warehouse outside of Las Vegas. And I'm like, so they've recovered materials from these things and they're telling us and nobody gives a shit. I'm like, hey, I get it. There's a pandemic going on, but they're telling us that there's craft flying in our skies that they don't know how it operates or where it's from. And the world isn't going crazy. It's like, it's very interesting to me. I don't know what their play is. I have no idea, but
Do you
it's
know
crazy.
what my thought is on what their play was?
Hmm.
Was what could be said while we have them so whipped up into a terrified frenzy that they wouldn't pay attention to, so we know what we can get away with while they're in this state.
Could very well have been a huge test. I don't know. I still kind of think that maybe the pandemic was a little bit of a test. Obviously, it was real, but I feel like there was.
Flat out a test run for something far worse.
I feel like it was, but who knows? You know what I mean? It's all speculation.
Yeah.
But getting back into our main topic for today, werewolves and Dogman. I I don't know what to think about these ancient legends and folklore about werewolves. Were people really shape shifting into wolves? I don't. It sounds so unbelievable that on the surface I go no, but then I start thinking about, okay, well, if aliens are real, you know, if God is real, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like the ultimate craziness. If you really get to the brass tacks of it, it sounds absolutely crazy. But where there's smoke, there's fire. So I can't discount. I've never seen a werewolf. I've never seen somebody shapeshift into a wolf. I haven't. But people have said they've seen upright walking wolf-like creatures
Yeah.
in the wilderness in the United States, and that freaks me out. That's even a possibility.
Hey, real quick, can you hear the fireworks going off through my mic?
Yeah, I've got fireworks going out here
Okay.
too.
Yeah, I was about to say it is already dark here, as you can see. I have my garage door open to let some air in, and there are some folks celebrating their freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. Rock on. We love it. We love freedom here on Talking Paranormal. Okay. Dutch Guys says on July 7th, 2004 or 2010. I was looking at the wrong year, dude. That's my bad. Um, I think this is the stuff that I showed on the episode where Matt was gone. I think that's the same. I didn't realize it was in daylight. Maybe I'm forgetting. But yeah. And we were talking about it. If an object in the sky is shutting down airports and they're not scrambling jets, I'm wondering what's going on. I'm wondering if the government's going, okay, these things are far more advanced. And if I was the president of the United States and I knew these things were coming into our airspace undetected and they had capabilities that we do not, I would wonder if I would be willing to engage them. You know what I mean?
Man, it's just kind of like, just let them be, you know? I
Yeah.
mean, given the way we act as a planet, they're probably locking their doors anyway.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
They're like, we ain't stopping.
And I don't know, when you hear the stories about them shutting down nuclear weapons facilities and things like that, I start wondering what their motives are. Are they disabling our weapons so that they can invade us and take us over? Or are they disabling our weapons for our own good? You know what I mean?
I mean, you would think that I don't know, man. You'd hope their goal is to try to enlighten us.
Yeah. What scares me more than aliens, though, and an alien invasion is what Elon Musk was talking about. And I've heard this from multiple sources. When he talks about aliens, he says something scarier than aliens is the AI technology. And he said he's seen some of what the AI technology is doing. And when these things become sentient, you've seen the movies where these things go, oh, we have to protect humans for their own good.
Yeah.
And there's one way to do that, and that's take us over and take power, take the power out of our hands. And, they've got that computer. I think it was Google that created that computer that made that calculation that was so unfathomable by the human brain that the technology is increasing exponentially.
Did you hear about the Google tech that got fired because he whistle blew on the fact that Google created two AIs and they started communicating to each other in their own language?
Oh my god. I think I heard something about that. When it gets into AI, that's what scares the shit out of me.
AI scares the hell out of me,
dude. It is scary, dude.
Because I'm not gonna lie, there is not I can't remember the name of the kid that from Terminator, that
John Connor.
Yeah, John Connor. There you go. There is not a John Connor among this generation coming up behind us. There's not one. There's not one. We're done. If it happens, we're done. We had a great run, everybody.
Yeah.
But you all were it.
And then you think about it, and it's like, we were just talking about them preparing us in the movies. You know what I mean? And It's like Terminator kind of, spelled it out. It's like, no matter what you do, no matter how much you change the future, this is an inevitability. Judgment Day will happen. That was a scary thought.
That is a scary thought, because you gotta think about with Facebook and their algorithm, and because we talk about their algorithm all the time. These algorithms will eventually turn into an AI as well, because they just get to where they predict people and everything else. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's just, the possibilities are endless. So when we talk about things like werewolves and dogmen, I can't help but go, yeah, it's possible. It's 100% possible. Then you hear stories about skinwalkers. You know what I mean? Shapeshifter. There's got to be something to this. It's like when you, on the surface, if you look at the history of ancient civilizations, they always talk about beings that have come from outer space.
Yeah.
And it sounds so far-fetched until you go, I wasn't there. You know what I mean? So
I had nothing to do with it. I wasn't even a thought. My family's line wasn't even a thought.
It's crazy. I am really interested because of how many of these people that have seen dogmen, and their first description is, I saw a werewolf. It's like, okay, well, you didn't see a man change into a wolf, so that's what a werewolf is.
Right.
So you saw a dogman. But the fact that they're coming out immediately and saying that what they saw was a werewolf is frightening to me, because every werewolf I've ever seen in the movies is so frightening that I'm like, if that's a real creature out there along with Bigfoot, uh, then that just opens the door for the possibility of, okay, maybe these people seeing these giant lizard beings, maybe those are
You know,
real too.
it would make sense to see a humanoid lizard in the rainforest. It makes sense. Like
Yeah.
now with the ancient Egyptians, I would lean more towards they were like a bipedal jackal more so than a bipedal dog per se. Um, just due to the fact of animal life in that area anyway.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, the lizards in the jungle make sense. Walking jackals in Egypt makes sense.
I don't know, dude. It's gotten to the point where if the government came out and I could actually trust them and they said, okay, Bigfoot exists, I'd be like, oh, of course it does. They said, yeah, okay, so there is a dog man out there. I'd be like nothing would surprise me. I'd be like, well, we've heard the story, so I guess they're true after all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Um, Gosh, I can't imagine if I was going Bigfoot hunting in Michigan and I saw a dog man instead. Like, oh my god.
Could you imagine
And
if you saw a Bigfoot Dogman fight?
that would be epic. That would be. Could you imagine the video? Oh my god, you'd go viral in an instant.
I almost wonder if there's not like something mythic about these things that just messes up technology. That's why it always looks like it's filmed on a potato.
Maybe man, going back to the parallel dimensions and the crazy things, and we don't know what's out there. Period. That's all there is to it. We have no idea. We've never explored our oceans. We've only gotten so far in space. We have no idea.
Oh man.
It's insane. It really is. But put yourself in the shoes of somebody who said they've seen one of these dogman creatures.
Yeah.
I mean, just putting myself in those shoes, I would have a hard time believing myself and what I saw. Like, did I really just see a werewolf? You know what I mean? And the people that have told these stories, like I said, I guess you could say you saw Bigfoot and it'd be like, okay, yeah, so have so many other people.
Yeah.
You start saying saw a werewolf, that changes the entire game. What I mean?
The
It's
conversation
insane.
shifts.
It does. But like we've been talking about, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's got to be something here. There's got to be. People didn't just start saying they saw dogmen just recently. It's been around for a long time in the United States and other parts of the world, as we'll see in some of these videos later. And now whether they're real or not, who knows? But
did you hear that scientists said that they believe the dire wolf actually still exists?
really, the giant wolf, is that what you're
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah.
Wow. Wouldn't surprise me. And we talk about the theory of evolution and stuff in science. You don't know what's out there that has evolved. Maybe there is a dire wolf that, and who knows what could crossbreed. Could you imagine?
Oh yeah.
Maybe a Sasquatch had its way with a wolf, and there you go, dogman. We don't know. If we don't have these creatures to study under science, we really don't know. Anything is possible. It really is. Or, I mean, the scarier thought, I was just watching a Bigfoot show where they were out in the middle of the wilderness and they found what appears to be a government facility in the middle of the wilderness. And it's like, what the hell would this be? Now, it could have been a logging encampment or something, but it was just strange how it was buried underground. It was very interesting. And I started thinking to myself, I mean, who knows what the U.S. government has, experimented with.
Just cooked up out there.
I think I've heard stories about Russia experimenting with like ape men, like legitimately like trying to create super soldiers. What I mean? That's insane. Dustin,
Well,
I did hold on a second, Matt. I did see the video. That is the one that I pulled up on episode, I think 2. Was episode 2 the one where you weren't here, Matt? I think it was 2 or 3.
Number 3, I do believe.
Oh, it was 3. Okay. Yes, it was 3. So episode 3, I pulled that up. Yeah, it was crazy, dude. The video's nuts. Or at least the pictures that I saw are absolutely insane. Dustin also says the Dogman legend goes back 150 years in Michigan at least. Everybody's weird uncle has seen one deer hunting. So I mean, is it a separate species, or is this a misidentification? You know?
I mean, I don't know, man. I want to say it's separate. I want to say it's its own thing. I mean, just given the fact that they're generally they're smaller than the average Sasquatch sighting.
Yeah.
I don't want to say they're a juvenile Sasquatch because the features are all wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say it's a separate thing. It's a separate genus.
Yeah, and it's just so insane to think of that possibility. But then you take a glimpse at some of the wilderness that's untouched by man, or at least hasn't been bastardized by man.
Yeah.
You know, outside of the city, you know, just flying over the country, you're like, wow, there is vast wilderness where who knows what the hell's out there. You know, and then you throw in crazy stuff like portals, you know, and the possibility that's and you know, when you say things like that, people think it's crazy, but I've heard accounts. There's one account, I need to find it again, see where I found the source. But a hunter or a hiker was in the wilderness walking, and in front of them on the trail, like it got like watercolory, you know what I mean? Where the what was in front of them in the pathway was almost like translucent water. And they stuck their foot through it, and their foot disappeared. They pulled their foot out, turned around, and got the hell out of there. Now, we have heard these stories about people missing and vanishing without a trace in the wilderness. Who's to say they weren't paying attention? They were looking down and walked right through one of these portals, and who knows where the hell they are now.
Yeah.
Like I said, anything is possible, so I can't discount anything. Now, have I ever seen something like that? No. But we did review that footage where that creature was cloaked. You know, if it is a real piece of footage, that's a scary thought too. You know what I mean? And again, going back to movies that have conditioned us to think that these things are just in the movies. You know, insane, dude.
It's
absolutely
wild.
Insane.
It's absolutely wild.
It is. And you know, I can't express enough how fun this podcast is going to be exploring these topics, these crazy topics. You know what I mean? I get a little scared though, because you know, you trip into the right subject and you say the right things, and some people might go, "Oh my God, how do they know that?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
then,
you start getting silenced, or you know, worse. I've heard some crazy stories in the documentary. Man, there's a point in it where they're threatened, and it is the most frightening threat I've ever heard. And they take the control out of your hands, and you realize if they wanted to destroy you, they have ways to do it.
Oh yeah.
That's the scariest part. You don't want to mess with the government, man. They are some savages. They don't give a damn.
Dude, no, who's going to touch them?
Yeah, nobody.
Nobody. Not a soul.
The ultimate power. Like, gosh.
I don't know if you can hear those, but I keep getting car alarms set off in my neighborhood.
Barely. You're actually it's fine. Let's get into the videos here, and then we'll talk a little bit more about Dogman and stuff at the end. And we'll get our final assessment of whether or not we think werewolves ever existed or whether Dogman exists. This first video, this is the one that I wanted to play because it goes to show that there's a lot we don't know, and now scientists are starting to dabble. And I thought this video was a little funny. Matt, this is the one we were talking about. I will play it right now. Check this out. This is basically a lady on TikTok expressing her feelings for an article that she read. And it's really funny. So let's play this.
What? This is not Stranger Things. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. This is not the time to do this. Stop it.
Pulls up this article from Facebook, and it says it's from the Facebook page Unexplained Mysteries. And what it says is scientists in Tennessee working at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory in eastern Tennessee have announced that they're trying to figure out, that they're trying to figure out whether or not parallel universes exist. They revealed that they're trying to open a portal into another dimension, which lead physicist Leah Broussard announcing that they will conduct a series of experiments by firing a beam of neutrons through a 50-foot tunnel. This lady's right. This is not Stranger Things. We need to not mess with things we do not understand, because once you open these doors, how are you going to close them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, they have no idea. They're just dicking with stuff to dick with it now.
It is absolutely insane to think, okay, hold on. So you don't even know how to open the door. You're experimenting on how to open the door. So that tells me you don't know how to close it. You can't open it, and you figure out how to open it. Then you got to figure out how to close it. Good luck with that.
Like,
who knows
what fast in a hurry too. Like, not even a little bit. Like,
it's that kind of thing is super frightening. The other thing that's, I don't know what scares you most, Matt. Outer space or what's in the ocean?
AI. Google AI. I'll take on whatever's in space. I'll take on whatever's in the oceans. It is artificial intelligence all day.
I wonder if it got advanced enough. I wonder if you could feed AI, if it had access to the internet and all the evidence, and it was artificial intelligence. If you asked it a question such as, say, does Bigfoot exist? Would it be able to compute that question and review all the evidence in existence on the internet right now, be able to tell whether it's fake or real, and then give you an answer? You know what I mean?
I feel like that would open up a rabbit hole, because I feel like it would trick us into giving it a drone to wander the woods.
You're right.
And instead of wandering the woods, it builds a lab.
I don't know. You could, man.
I'll tell you who really scares me is Boston Robotics. Have you seen their stuff?
The crazy dogs and machines that they have that can do unbelievable things flawlessly. Yes. Yep. That scares the hell out of me. It's Terminator in the making, dude.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if they ever come out with a thing where they announce they're working with Google, I'm done. I'm done with any of it. I'm not paying taxes anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not going to work, because I'm just gonna enjoy whatever little bit of time we got left, because I know what's coming.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. It is Terminator in the making. If AI can figure out and compute anything, it can make the machines, and it will know how to destroy us effortlessly.
I swear to God, if Arnold Schwarzenegger comes walking out and being like, "I told you, I'm done."
Could you imagine if the AI goes, well, we could set their anxieties a little bit at ease by sending machines that look like Arnold? Could you imagine? Like, you're seeing the movies in real life going, this can't be real. And by the time you even get that thought in your brain,
reality tech is insane.
God, could you imagine? They're like, yeah. And
the AI is a troll. That just adds to insult to injury.
When you tell me, yeah, God, oh my God. And it's got a sick sense of humor. Oh my God. Oh, when you tell me, go ahead.
I'd be like, I'm okay with this.
Yeah, it's kind of like the movie Pixels, where the aliens come down and they make it like a video game. It's like, yeah, could you imagine if they just didn't have a sense of humor? That was just the way that they thought it would be, like, not even funny, but they're just like, let's ease their anxiety to make this hostile takeover easier. But when you tell me that two artificial intelligences were able to communicate with each other with a language that we can't understand because they developed it themselves, I start wondering, if you asked an artificial intelligence about the meaning of life, the existence of God, certain questions about our history, if it has access to all the information on the planet that is available on the internet, like, what will it be able to solve? What kind of mysteries will this thing be able to solve? And do we want to solve those mysteries?
Well, see, the problem is right now we have a generation coming in that when you talk about AI, they're expecting Cortana from Halo, while our generation is expecting Skynet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know, man. I can hope for Cortana. I
Mhm.
can hope to God for Cortana. More than likely, we're going to get Skynet.
Yeah, man, I think we'd get Skynet because we're such a, if AI has the idea to self-preserve, you know what I mean? It knows we're the hostile ones. It will enslave us, guaranteed. That's scary.
iRobot. Not even
um,
Terminator. iRobot.
yeah, God, it just, I don't know. I guess that does scare me more than anything. I think you're right,
I
but
mean, whatever's in the oceans, whatever's in the woods, whatever in space has left us alone for a long time. AI is brand new and it's already trying to F stuff up. So,
yeah, man, that is a scary thought. How do we go from dogmen and werewolves to AI taking over?
welcome to Matt's brain.
This is Talking Paranormal with Chris and Matt. But going back, I was trying to I was trying to lead you into this next video.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's all right. That's what makes the show fun. All right, let's watch this next video. I think this has to do with the ocean. Let's check.
What on earth is that?
It's just going and going and going. Here we go. We're going in for a... Oh, whoa! It just powdered, disintegrated. I did not expect that.
The shape of these vertebrae make me think it could be possibly a snake or a fish. However, all the snakes that actually live in the ocean are pretty small, and this looks a lot bigger. Is it possible that this is a skeleton of something much older?
It's the same length as the largest whales. But this is not a whale. A whale's vertebrae has a series of bones known as transverse processes protruding from it. The skeleton in the clip does not. The largest prehistoric fish we've found evidence of is the Leadsichthys, a terrifying creature so large, early fossil hunters mistook it for a stegosaurus. These monsters weighed 45 tons, 7 times heavier than an elephant. This is no fossil, but a skeleton of a creature that died in the recent past.
Are there species in the ocean that have survived the mass extinction event?
Okay. To prep the people just listening to this show, what this video shows is an underwater rover on the ocean floor. I don't know where, but what you see is a series of vertebrae on the ocean floor that appear to be quite large and very long. As you heard in the video, this creature is as big, if not bigger, than the biggest whales on planet Earth. And at the very end of the video, you hear them say that this could be something from our recent past and not necessarily something from millions and millions of years ago. And when this rover goes to grab a piece of this vertebrae, it disintegrates because it's been under there so long that it's so fragile. That's a scary thought because it goes back to the thing with the ocean and us having not explored enough of it. We have no idea what's really in there. Thoughts, Matt?
Man, it's really compelling. At first, when I watched it, I about had myself drawn into thinking that it was one of Animal Planet or Discovery Channel's mockumentaries.
I didn't think about that, but it is the Science Channel.
Right. So that's what fixed it for me.
Okay.
Because that dude's mustache really made me think he wasn't real.
A little actory.
But I mean, it's an epic stash. But man, it's compelling, and like you and I talked about, we have no way of knowing. Even right now, no matter what kind of tech we have no way of knowing everything that's swimming around out there. I mean, especially if it's in a small quantity.
Yeah.
The chances of us bumping into it are astronomically huge.
It's just, it's scary to me to think, because all we saw was what looked like vertebrae. No skull, no anything like that. So it started when I saw that clip and they said what they said. I started thinking to myself, what if you know, because rumor was that the Loch Ness monster was a plesiosaur,
Yeah.
a dinosaur that survived. But then some of the recent research done is starting to say that it's an eel species and it's just misidentification. But what if, and that's based on science where they I believe, now don't quote me on this, but they took a sample of the water and they did like some sort of DNA profile on it, and it should tell you all the DNA profiles of everything that exists in that lake. And eel species was something that they saw, and it made sense because if you saw several eels in the water, it would definitely give you that snake-like shape or humps. But then I see something like that, and I'm like, gosh, what if something like that exists?
My thing is how big of an eel is that?
I mean, it would have to be huge, 30 or 40 feet long.
That's what I'm saying. Like, now don't get me wrong. Like, I recently, just very recently, got up close and personal with one of the big green moray eels.
Uh-huh.
Because they had an aquarium that my son loves to go to, and we went. And I mean, they're a lot bigger than I thought they were.
Yeah.
I will give you that. But still, for something to be confused and believed to be that big, actually that big, that has to be a big eel.
Yeah, and I was recently watching a show where they actually were in my state, and there's a lake called Lake Chelan in eastern Washington, and there's always been, it's one of the deepest lakes in the world. It's like 1,300 feet deep.
Oh, wow.
It goes below sea level. It's that deep. You can stack like almost 3 Space Needles in it. It's very, very deep. And they went hunting for this lake monster, and what they ended up finding and coming to the conclusion was that it was just a giant sturgeon. Now, the sturgeon that they ended up catching was huge. And I was thinking to myself, wow, 3 or 4 of those things were swimming, you know, close to the surface. It would definitely look like a monster, because even just looking at the back of that thing, I was like, if I just saw that next to my boat, I would think it's a sea monster. That's all there is to it. I'd go, there's the monster. Holy shit. You know what I mean? That's how insane it was. But you know, the ocean does scare me, not as much as AI. Now that you've opened my eyes to that, that I wasn't even thinking on that level when I asked you that question. But we have another video here, and this goes back to the depths of the ocean. Let's check it out. Okay, in this video, it's another underwater shot. I don't know if this was, I mean, obviously it was a submersible vessel. So we'll call it a submersible research vessel. Gets video footage of this creature that I looked at and thought looked like a blue whale. But if this was a scientific research vessel, they would definitely know what a blue whale looked like. They said this thing was 70 feet long, and they have no idea what it is.
So when it swam under the sub, it almost gave off like a bioluminescence off its back. So that made me automatically believe not whale. But man, we can't know what's out there. We can't. Like, have you seen the videos where they recorded dragging sounds, like of things dragging across the ocean floor and making clicks and growls and stuff like that?
No, but I have heard of what do they call it? The blip or the anomaly or something like that.
Yeah.
Where they heard a noise in the ocean and nobody can explain what the hell it was.
Yeah, it's one. It has to do with that stuff.
Okay.
And I mean, I believe because you've seen where they blame sonar off of these container ships and submarines for causing the increase in whale beachings and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Man, what if this is waking something up that's been sleeping for a long time?
Oh my god. Yeah. Anything is possible, dude.
Because I mean, like all the sea monsters and stuff they drew on old maps and stuff like that, it couldn't have been just for decoration. Like there had to be something actually taking these ships, and people were coming home and telling the stories.
Yeah. I definitely believe that creatures in the ocean have existed, and people that saw sea monsters were seeing something. They were definitely seeing something. And I don't believe it was just misidentification. Maybe in certain situations it was, but the ocean is so vast and we haven't explored enough of it to really know what the hell's down there. For a long time, the giant squid was considered, the Kraken was considered a myth. And then they discovered it and they've seen it on camera.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh yeah, the giant squid's real. So's the colossal squid. The what?
Yeah. That the odds too of them catching it on camera, when you think about how big the ocean actually is. What is it? 80% of Earth is water and ocean.
Yeah. So like I watched a documentary of how they figured out where they stood the best chance to get it on video.
Really?
It was some Japanese scientists, and they spent years trying to figure out the best place to catch it on video was. And where they finally figured it out was they accidentally captured a baby.
Oh.
Like it was like this freaking big.
Whoa.
They accidentally caught a baby, and so that's where they decided that would probably be the best place to capture one on camera, because that's obviously where they're laying their eggs.
Whoa.
And they caught it.
Wow. Those Japanese, dude. If they can find a giant squid in the ocean, maybe we need to send them into some forests in North America and see if they can find Bigfoot for us.
I'm just saying, just get out there, boys. You'll come up with it.
My God.
Well, I mean, you've seen them building their giant robots. See, I'm an anime fan. I've talked about this before. And one of my dream trips is to Japan, where they have life-size Gundam statues.
Are they operable?
They built one that is.
Whoa.
It's a 1:1 scale of the very first Gundam. And granted, it's supported, but dude, they got where it'll walk out, does its little thing, moves its arms, kneels down.
Wow. It's like, cool. Hey, Boston Dynamics, check this out.
Yeah.
We've got Optimus Optimus Prime. Oh, man.
But, man, I mean, you got to keep in mind, like, Optimus Prime comes up to this thing's, like, knee.
Wow. That's crazy. Megalodon, yeah, that was it.
I think they're out there.
The ocean's just too big to say that it's not. And we haven't explored enough of it to say that, who the hell knows what's out there? The whole idea of there being a layer and then going beyond that layer, like the false floor that you were talking about.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, God.
My God. That is frightening to me.
And then people will be like, I mean, like I said, Hollywood probably is getting spoon-fed enough information to release stuff. But like, hey, wouldn't it be wild if there was a false floor in the Mariana Trench and there was bioluminescence down there, and that's where the Megalodon's hanging out? Write a script.
Yeah.
Push that bad boy.
You start, like, I've got a great imagination, but some of these movies, I'm like, these guys, do they really have that good of imagination? Or do they know stuff that we don't? Because we do hear, and I definitely want to talk about this at some point on the show. It's not just all paranormal. There's going to be some conspiracy stuff, and I do believe in the Hollywood elite and elites in the music industry and elites in the political sphere. And I think that there's a certain level that you get to where once you get beyond that level, you know things that most of us don't. And that's why they consider us sheep, because they know the truth and we don't.
I'm telling you right now, I am going to show up for that episode dressed up like Dale Dribble.
You better have an orange Mac hat, I swear to God.
I'll find one. I'll track one down.
I've got a red one.
Sunglasses and everything. I'll even have pocket sand.
Oh, man. Cassie
Yes,
says
Cassie.
Hollywood definitely knows more about so many things. I don't trust Hollywood. Dude, Matt. Okay, so the guy who is involved in this documentary,
Yeah.
I become a huge fan. He's got a podcast and it's amazing. I will be reaching out to him at some point once we grow a little bit, because I want to talk to him about some stuff, because he's got some, but long before he was involved, I shouldn't say that. So he was involved in the paranormal and stuff, but he's also had a big history in the music industry. And he was talking about, when he got, Cassie, I need to talk to you. We need to talk to you. What do you know? What do you know, Cassie?
Oh, that's my friend. I'll talk her into coming on.
Yeah, ask her what she knows. But now I'm curious, because Hollywood scares me, man. The occultism, things like that. But they told this guy, once he got into the industry, like he was managing this band of young kids. They take this A&R rep, take it from a record company. I think it was Capitol Records. Takes him to this restaurant, buys him like $2,500 dinner, like steaks, lobsters, and he starts he gets them loaded, like he's buying them alcohol, and these are kids, right? Takes them to their hotel, and the kids are joking around like, oh, he's like, what do you want? I'll hook you up. And so they get drugs, and one of the kids, I guess, said, I want a hooker that looks just like Little Kim. And I guess knock, knock, knock on that hotel room door, and there was a hooker that looks just like Little Kim that takes care of all the boys. And the guy was saying, as I'm sitting there, I'm going, okay, this is like the dream of young rock stars. Like they're trying to live the rock star life, and this is happening. And he goes, I don't know how that guy goes to sleep at night. Like what you just corrupted, these young kids. And he goes, I was warned by people, like, see the Hollywood Hills, don't go up there. It's crazy stuff happens up there. And they were talking about the Hollywood Vampires, which I know as a band that Johnny Depp's in.
Yeah.
And I have questions about Johnny Depp because he's reached such a high level. I know he hangs out with Marilyn Manson. I've seen him wear a ring that had a pentagram on it. I don't know if I trust Johnny Depp, and he's so charming, and those types of people are charming. So I don't know how much I can trust Johnny Depp, but they were saying that once you get to a certain level, then to get past that level, you gotta basically, you gotta sell your soul, whatever that means. I just find it interesting that so many of these big Hollywood elites and stuff have been nailed for despicable things. The depravity that exists in Hollywood is scary. Cassie works in the music industry.
Yes.
Cassie, I'm curious. I'm so curious what you know, Cassie. Matt, you've kept this a secret from me.
I honestly didn't even think about it. I mean, I'm so sorry, Chris.
Oh man, Cassie, I'm a big conspiracy theorist when it comes to the music industry and things like that. One thing that was brought up was Jay-Z and how the guy came from absolutely nothing. Then all of a sudden you hear on the radio, Big Pimpin'. Next thing you know, he owns Live Nation. He's got a kid with Beyonce. You know what I mean? Like, either he's a hell of a businessman, or he could have sold his soul. You see him doing these symbols, the all-seeing eye symbols. His record company, Rockefeller Records. Rockefellers have been known to be some despicable, rich creeps that are super powerful. I don't know. There's just too many, there's too many. Where there's smoke, there's fire, dude. I'm telling you. But Cassie, I'm going to have Matt ask you some questions because I want to know what you know. That's very, now I'm super compelled. What does she know? How much of is she local to you, Matt? Is she in Arkansas?
Oh yeah. Yeah. She's probably like, ooh, yeah. Okay.
Cassie, you're going to come on the show and it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, I don't know how confidential you need to be because of where you're at in the music industry. I have no idea. I don't even know who you are, but you're a friend of Matt. So I guess that makes you a friend of mine. So we're going to get you on the show and we're going to talk some conspiracy stuff. If you can use a fake name if you have to.
We have this episode streaming live. Like, you can change your name. It's okay.
Yeah, true. Yeah, okay. All right, maybe your name's really not Cassie Drake, is it? I might have gotten your friend fired. I'm sorry, Cassie. I apologize. But she brings up Puff Daddy, and I'm like, okay, I definitely don't trust that guy. Yeah, we are live. That's my bad. Oops. Oh, well, now that I feel stupid, let's go back to the videos.
To the videos.
To the videos that I believe are fake. Let's check it out. Okay, now we're going to get into Dogman videos. Matt and I had a hell of a struggle finding anything that even remotely looked.
I'm telling you all right now, I apologize to every single person that's recorded a Bigfoot video. And I was like, man, it's horrible. I feel so bad because Dogman videos are worse.
This episode is called Werewolves and Dogman. Man, what are we doing, bro? Oh, gosh. Here we go. Check this video out.
We can at least act like we both have other successful podcasts.
Oh, man. I have done a little bit of research, and I did see a lot of people responding to videos about Dogman or podcasts about Dogman saying, I love this subject. And I was like, really? The Dogman thing, that is a little compelling to me. I like that. The werewolf thing, I was like, that's going to be a hard sell, but we'll go for it. We'll go for it. We'll see what happens. But check these videos out. Okay. For those viewing or for those listening to the show, what you see is a sketchy looking character. This guy's walking, and I don't know if this looks like an abandoned mine or something.
It looks like a backyard with trees. Just dark.
Okay, that was two totally different contrasting impressions there. I say it looks like an abandoned mine. Matt's like, it's like a backyard. Okay, we'll go with
yours
Matt.
sounds scarier.
It does sound scarier. Oh, man, this is a rough one. So the guy is walking towards some sort of structure, and there's a creature, which this is, again, filmed on a potato, like we talk about so much, and it appears to be on all fours, and the thing appears to be quite solid. I mean, it does not look like a dog as far as like the structure of a dog.
That thing is huge.
It looks huge. Maybe a bear with mange.
Have you ever seen a hairless bear?
I've seen bears that have mange where they're not hairless, but they definitely look ragged and beat, but they're still bears.
Right. So the muscle structure on that thing doesn't really fit a bear. Like, bears aren't necessarily like jacked. They're powerful, but they're not necessarily jacked. That thing just looked huge.
So there was one video, and I almost brought it on the show, but it was it ended up being a hoax. Okay, so check this out. This radio host starts talking about Dogman, makes a song about Dogman or whatever, and he gets this anonymous video, and the story is that this was found in an estate sale, and it says, I forget what the name of it was, but it's on 8mm. They start playing it, and it's like totally 70s. Like, the vehicles are 70s. Even the snowmobiles are riding around because it's like snowy out. They're all 70s, right? Even the dress, long hair, all that. And then towards the end of this video, and most of it's like family stuff, like riding around on, snowmobiles, chopping wood. And then you see a clip where they're driving down the road, and you see this giant thing that is not a dog. It does not look like a canine. Does not look like a bear, but it moves like a dog, and it is a hulking figure, and it's coming at the camera, and then as it's running at the camera, it kind of glitches out, and then the next thing you see in one of the frames is the mouth of a canine, and then that's it. It cuts out. As it turns out, there was a sequel to this video in which the cops are showing a body on the ground that's been disemboweled. It's cut in half. There's guts everywhere. It's a very graphic video. It's super believable. Like, for the footage that you see on this 8mm, you're like, that is the most gruesome thing I've ever seen. Right? I was almost sold on it. There was a couple things that threw me off. One was the creature. It was fuzzy enough where I was like, there's something that's not right about it, but how it moves, very interesting. And then the part of the sequel with the cop, I was like, that is the hokiest looking cop uniform I've ever seen. But then you see the body on the ground and you're like, that looks real as hell. Like, I don't think they had special effects like that back then, right? Then you find out, no, the whole thing is a hoax. And the guy goes, oh, I'm going to hoax this, gets a ghillie suit. And it just so happens that this guy has old vehicles, including old snowmobiles on his property. He's like, I'll film it all on 8mm. He's got long hair, and he has his whole family in on it, including the kids. And he hoaxes it. And it's him in the ghillie suit jumping around. And they're like, how did you? And he's like, I just thought, what would a Dogman look like? And I started jumping around. And because it's 8mm, you can't tell it's a ghillie suit. It just looks like a hulking figure on all fours running at him that looks thicker than a dog. Yeah. You throw a human in a ghillie suit and it, broadens him out a little bit. And then he tells you how he did the body. It's him. And he gets basically a fake torso, and it's like a rubber torso, and he shoves rags in it and like does this fake blood stuff, and it looks like real guts and blood. And he cuts a hole in the ground, lays in it, and they lay the apparatus on his back. So his arms and his upper body and his shirt are legit, and it's him. So that's why you're like, holy shit, the guy got disemboweled. The guy that was filming the video got disemboweled.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be a hoax. And it was an amazing hoax. It was a great idea. It just so happened that the guy he's like, shit, I had old cars and I had these old snowmobiles. It was perfect. And watching the video, it looked period correct. So you would assume, like, what kind of weirdos, and I talk about it sometimes on the show when you watch these videos, like the story, a lot can be told in a few seconds. And the story was amazing. It started off as a family video. Boom, 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 boom. It was super compelling, and when I found out it was a hoax, I was like, we'll have to play it sometime just to show what can be done and how easily people can be fooled. But that video, it's a very large creature. Unfortunately, it's only 30 seconds long, so you don't get to see very much. I don't know. I can't even. I don't even know what to say. There's no audio from the guy. I'd be screaming if I saw something like that.
Well, I mean, the canine mouth was a family dog then.
Yeah. If I saw something like that and I knew it was a bear, I'd be like, don't worry, it's a bear. If I saw something coming out of the woods that looked like a dog man or something that I can't explain, I'd go, what the is that thing? Fucking run, dude. Run. I don't know. I'm not sold on the story in this video. I don't know what they're looking at. It's not clear enough for me to tell, but it does not look like a dog. Gosh, it's tough. What's your assessment, Matt? What do you think?
Possibly a Bigfoot on all fours. I mean, you heard about them. You hear about them. You hear about them approaching something on all fours.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I said, that thing is huge. I mean, it is huge.
Let's watch this video again. I got to see this thing again. It is built like a gorilla. It looked like a gorilla.
Yeah. I mean, it is ripped, man. It is massive.
Yeah. And wouldn't that throw you for a loop if you're out in the woods hunting Bigfoot and one comes out walking at you on four legs?
Oh, man.
On all fours?
But like I said, what gives me the backyard vibe on it is the lights on either side of the path. It looks like just like a stairway cut into the hill. Going down somewhere.
Okay, that makes sense. Definitely makes more sense than a mine shaft.
These guys went exploring a mine, and they had lights out and everything.
Okay, Matt.
hey, man. This has been the wildest episode.
It's insane. We're insane. This is good though. I like it. It's entertaining. So now we have at least one of these videos is from Brazil, I think.
Yes.
And
I'm thinking of.
I had never heard of any Bigfoot or Dogman sightings in Brazil. And I don't know why, but it seems to me like any videos from south of the border either come off as super fake or they come off as somewhat compelling, where you're like, man, would these guys that live in the jungle really fake a video for TikTok? You know what I mean? Or whatever. I don't know.
I feel like this one, if it's the one I'm thinking of, I sent you this one because it's mildly compelling, but also looks crazy fake.
Okay, there's a couple. I think both of them kind of felt that way for me, but let's check this one out.
Olha aí, olha pra mim, olha aí. Ele tá sangrando. Olha ali, pra que é isso, cara? É muito grande, cara. Olha, continua. Ele tá de frente pro chão, mano. A minha câmera do peito que pegou, cara. Pra não tirar também, mano. Vamos sair daqui. Só te dá gente que... Vai, calma. Vai pra lá também. Mano.
First of all, the account is Bigfoot Anonymous on TikTok. Okay? Second of all, that looks like an angry German Shepherd. Like, why are you shining these lights in my face?
I mean, but it's taller than a German Shepherd. But what got me was it had eye shine. That's a big deal for me.
Yes.
But that dude was just hanging out. Like, it had all that jungle to escape into, and it just chilled. It was like, what's he doing over there?
That's very true.
You know what I mean? That's what made me believe fake.
Yeah.
It had the eye shine, huge for me. But the fact that it just hung out and kind of just went up and down in the bushes, I'm just like, this is fake.
Yeah, it did definitely have, humans too, human nature, fight or flight. You're either running or you're going to take that thing down. Because, yeah. I mean, what are you going to do? Stare at it and yell at it? You know what I mean? Shoot it and figure out what it is after. Shoot first, ask questions later. You hear of stories about hunters out there seeing Bigfoot and they got him in the sights and they go, couldn't shoot him, looks like a human. Or they run.
Yeah.
And there have been accounts of people shooting Bigfoot, obviously, and you get the mysterious ones, and then you get ones where, like, there's this kid, Justin Smeha, who says he killed an infant and it died in his arms. It's a crazy story. I don't know if I believe the guy, but
that's horrible.
I guess he went back and cut a steak off this thing to have it DNA tested. I don't know whatever happened with that story, but the guy just made me sick because I was like, he looked in this creature's eye, this infant or this adolescent, and shot it just ruthlessly because he was illegally hunting bear in their truck, like driving down the road.
Yeah.
Saw this thing, boom, takes it out. I don't know if I could shoot a Bigfoot. I really don't.
I don't think I could.
If it was coming to attack me and it was self-defense, then I would have to do what I had to do to preserve my own life. But if I had the thing in my sights and I'm like looking at it and it's not trying to harm me and maybe it's just trying to get away, I don't know. I would kind of feel for it. Like, yeah, I'd get away from humans too because we suck. Humans suck.
Like I said, this is the same concept I've said of people getting pissed off about shark attacks.
Yeah.
Mother trucker, you are playing in that dude's house and you get mad when he takes a nibble.
Yeah. These are the same people that are like, if someone breaks into my house, I have the right to shoot him. Shoot him. He came onto my property.
First of all, if that's supposed to be a Southern accent,
I don't know.
I'm very upset.
I don't know what that was. We got a guy from Arkansas on here.
And you're like, they took our jobs. Offended.
They took our jabs, our guns. Going back to that last video.
Fake.
Yeah, I'm going to call fake on that one. That was funny. And I don't know what TikTok is such a weird universe.
It's a wild place, and I love it.
There's been some really compelling ghost stuff, some good UFO stuff. These underwater ones have been good. But then you start looking at these Dogman and a lot of these Bigfoot videos, and you're like, oh, my God, what is happening? What is happening here?
It's not been great, but I mean, some funny stuff.
Yeah, oh, no, for sure. It definitely brings up, and it's funny because, like, you want some of these, you just want compelling video.
Yeah.
And then you have to wade through all the BS. And it's like, this is why people don't think this shit is real because, everybody that sees one just happens to not have a camera or they're too scared to pull it out or it's such a fleeting moment that they don't have enough time, things like that.
Man, I tell you right now, I want this one to be real.
Okay.
Because it's such a clear shot, but it's not real.
Yeah. Let's check this next one out. This next one is 18 seconds long. Thankfully, we'll see. We'll see how convincing this one is. All right, going back to what I said last time, they took that son of a bitch down.
To be fair, they had the fight or flight response you were talking about.
They absolutely did. They got out 3 words and bam, bam, bam.
Now, to also be fair, pretty confident that was a homeless dude in the sewer.
Yeah. Tweaker, get him. There I go with the accent again. I don't know why I'm doing that.
Why?
That's weird.
Chris,
I don't know. I'm sorry. I want to apologize to anybody in the southern United States. I guess that's what happens when an idiot from Washington tries to fake an accent.
I mean, look, I know we crack a lot of Paula Dean jokes when we're all in our group together, but man, save the Southern for me.
I will for sure. I probably won't. This won't be the first time.
That's all we need is us start doing a podcast and you start talking with a Southern accent up there because I'm rubbing off on you.
Oh God, could you imagine? Oh, all right. So this video, it's basically kind of set up like the last one, where if there's a creature in the bushes and there just happens to be a group of people and they're yelling, and unlike the first one, these guys, not only do they have a really shaky light on it, which either to me says fake because they don't want you to get a full, clear, lit up shot of this thing, or nervousness if it was a real event where the guy can't hold things still because he's scared or he's got a gun in his other hand or whatever. But they open fire on this thing and show no remorse. They open fully automatic fire and take this thing down. And it's, when I was looking for content to play or pictures to show, I ran across a couple pictures of what appeared to be a dead werewolf. And of course, special effects. I'm looking at the thing going, that's definitely movie effects. But it's just funny what some people will believe. Some people will defend the fakest looking stuff, or they will just assume that something's real because it looks real. Which I'm not the type to go on and bash any. In a lot of these Bigfoot groups on Facebook, I see so many pictures of the woods that are just pictures of the woods, and they're going, saw one, it's a Bigfoot, 9 feet tall, yada, yada, yada. And I look at this picture and I go, where the hell is a Bigfoot in this picture? And then, of course, people are like, you can't see the Bigfoot? I'm looking, I'm like, no. And then you get the one guy who's like, highlights it, and he's like, here it is right here. And then you look and you're like, okay, that's a pixelated shadow in the woods. That could be anything. Yeah. And they assume it's a Bigfoot. Which, I wouldn't be surprised if I finally do see Bigfoot and I got my camera ready, everything's good to go, and I take a picture of it. And I'm like, okay, iPhone, I know you're not a potato. Why did you take a potato picture? What is going on here?
So on some of these, man, I just want to say people want to believe so bad that they'll believe just about anything they see.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with wanting to truly believe. But you have to go in skeptical. You have to be a skeptical believer. Like, I think you are on the perfect track to actually experience something real and to know you experience something real. Like, yeah. I've already experienced my real stuff. I know it's out there. I don't know everything that's out there, but I know there's something more than us out there. There's more than what we know out there. So, I mean, I'm not a skeptical believer. I'm a believer, but like, some folks just, they want to believe they've experienced something so bad, to be different so bad, that they'll believe anything.
What's going to piss me off is if I'm ever in the woods hunting a Bigfoot. I say hunting, researching to see if I can see one, and I do catch a glimpse, and it's a fleeting glimpse, and I don't get to see the full thing, and I'm left with that question. Like, okay, what the hell did I see? That's going to piss me off more than never having seen it. I need a full shot. It's tough. It's same with the ghost. That's going to be tough too. If I see something, am I going to be like that Arab guy in that video and go, I know that I just pissed off everyone in the
Oh
Middle East.
my god!
I just pissed off everybody in the Middle East, and I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm horrible with
But
accents.
for real, they'll chase it down.
I don't know what I have to do to make myself believe. And I doubt a ghost is going to go, here I am, do a little dance for me, just to show me, you know, like I want to see just so that I just need to answer the question for myself. I have my own personal beliefs of why I'm interested in life after death.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Bigfoot thing, I've been so curious for so long that I have to see it at least one time in my life, just so that I know, okay, I haven't been believing in something that doesn't exist. So, but I'll take anything paranormal if I can experience it. It's definitely one of those things that that would almost like push me even further into, okay, now I've gotten a taste. And I'm worried that I might go too deep. But
man, it can get deep real fast. I've purposely made it a rule not to search it out. I'm kind of breaking that rule by saying we're going to stay at the Crescent, but I mean, I've made a habit of it not to purposely search it out. It tends to find me, but I still don't try to search it out.
That's why I'm a little excited, and I hope the Travel Channel eventually catches wind of this podcast and goes, "Oh, one guy has experienced it, the other guy hasn't, but wants to.
Yeah,
let's give him a show.
Let's get these guys with Zach Baggins quick."
Man, oh god, could you imagine we got a TV show from this, and they're like, "All right, let's take him to the scariest places on Earth. Let's drop him in the middle of the wilderness." Oh man!
Did you know that there is a Bigfoot documentary starring Jack Osborne, Ozzy Osbourne's son, and Jay from Jay and Silent Bob?
Okay, so I heard about that today because I was at a birthday party, a friend's 40th birthday party, and I was like, "Hey, babe, what time is it?" Like, we got to get going. They're like, "Oh, what time are you leaving?" I was like, 5. And they're like, "What do you got going on?" I was like, "I got a paranormal podcast to record tonight." And then we got into talking about paranormal stuff, and I started asking everybody, "Have you ever experienced anything?" Surprisingly, I heard a couple decent stories, but somebody mentioned Jack Osborne and Bigfoot, and I was like, "Stop right there, please. Stop right there." Because I do know that the Osbournes had some sort of paranormal show where they were reviewing footage, coincidentally.
Jack actually actively does hunts.
Really?
Yes, he has several shows. Do you have Discovery Plus?
No.
Man, I'll share my login stuff with you so you can check it out. But
don't say that live. What are you doing? No,
I don't care. Discovery doesn't crack down on. That's Netflix. But yeah, yeah. He has quite a few on there. Like I said, you all right there, homie?
Yeah. Every once in a while, my camera goes out of focus, and it really pisses me off. I think it's the lights. The lights in the backdrop make it go out of focus for whatever reason. If I move too much, it'll go out of focus.
But no, he's done quite a few. I personally love the Ghost Adventures guys.
Okay.
If we ever get big enough and we get to actually meet those guys at something, I will probably fangirl out getting to meet Aaron, because that dude has gotten the short end of the stick on every investigation. This is where the worst of it all happens. Aaron, you're by yourself.
Those mind Fs where they put somebody alone, I really do think. And this guy that makes this documentary that I was telling you about, he's got a lot of stuff out there, and he was very involved in the paranormal. And one thing that he's sworn to, which obviously we're going off his word, is that he will never fake anything. And he goes, "Look, you usually don't see anything, you know, in TV, you know, they want you to believe that this commercial break, you're going to see something crazy after this commercial break. And most of the time it's like, what was that?" And of course you're going to hear noises in some of these places. You know what I mean? That's why, like, for me, if I'm in like Waverly Hills, you know, one of the most haunted places in the world, and I hear little noises and stuff, I'm like, we're in this giant building. Of course you're going to hear weird things. But if I hear the whispers in the ear, if I feel the tugging on the shirt, you know, the instant temperature change, things like that, like those types of paranormal experiences, they would help me in my journey, but I have to see an apparition.
So what gives, I know we're so far off topic right now, but what gives Ghost Adventures some credibility for me
Okay.
is that through every episode and every season, they actively try to debunk what if something big happens and they catch it. They actively try to debunk it. 9 times out of 10, it gets debunked. They debunk it themselves and say, there you go. And if it's something that they can't explain, they say, we're not saying this is paranormal. We just can't explain it. And here it is. So that to me, that gives them some credit.
It's tough for me because with provoking. Some of these guys, when they provoke, I'm like, you sound like, and I'm not saying Zach sounds like this, but I'm also not saying that he doesn't. But it's just like, dude, you sound like a tool. If I was a ghost, I'd be like, shut up.
He used to do it a lot in the earlier seasons, but he's really backed off it.
Has he?
For the last several years. Yeah, he had too much bad stuff happen to him at home that he really backed off of it. He does a little bit still, but nowhere to the level he used to.
Things have been following him home?
Oh, man. All the time. Like, Aaron got a divorce because of something that followed him home and his wife couldn't take it.
Whoa.
They've all had stuff follow them home.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last episode of Talking Paranormal. We will not be talking about anything paranormal ever again. I'm a firm believer in if that stuff started happening to me, I'm blessing the house.
They all got more into getting blessings and stuff like that. They actually do ritual cleansings after each investigation now, and stuff like that. But I mean, have you ever watched Demon House? Their documentary? Yeah.
The demonic scares the shit out of me.
That's almost all they do anymore. It's just because that's what they realized people needed more help with. Wasn't ghosts bumping through the night, but was the demonic stuff. And they actually try to help people now and get them in touch with exorcists and holy men that can bless and protect their house and stuff like that. They've made a huge tonal shift on that show from just actively going to somewhere haunted that they try to go somewhere that's demonic.
Wow. They got balls, man. I just want to go to a place where maybe a lady's been seen in a white dress. That's it. I don't need,
man. Come on to the Crescent.
Okay. I don't need to see no beds levitating. I don't need to see no kids walking up the walls backwards. Nothing like that. Just show me a ghost. All right. Matt, I'll go. There goes my camera again. While I'm fixing this, your thoughts on werewolves. Are werewolves real? Were they in existence at some point in history?
Again, I'm gonna maintain that I don't think it was like a werewolf curse, but could have been a group of people or beings that could shapeshift.
Okay. I'm gonna go along with where there's smoke, there's fire, and there has to be something that sparked these legends in the first place.
Right.
Who knows what that is? Do I believe in the curse that turns a man into a wolf? It's hard for me to say no, because I've heard so many stories about skinwalkers, and there's something to these Native American legends, because you have to understand all these Native American tribes have been talking about a wild man of the woods, a hairy wild man. And so many of these tribes have had these stories for hundreds and hundreds, if not, 1,000 years.
Yeah.
And these are things that we've seen the whole time. They've also talked about, like the Hopi Indians have talked about beings from the sky and things like that. So, when Native Americans start talking about that kind of stuff, and you're like, okay, that seems believable. But then you go, oh, and they talk about skinwalkers too, and that's horse shit. I can't say that. I really can't. So I have to stay with anything's possible. Can a human being, this is a question I have to ask myself, is it possible for a human being to actually shapeshift without being supernatural? Is that a natural thing that can happen? I've heard stories of people that suffer from lycanthropy that when they're having an episode, their hand will like morph into more of a claw. Their face will contort. So, I mean, I've never experienced that. I've never seen somebody have an episode like that. But I've seen some people, and this isn't even a joke, I've seen some people on some drugs make their bodies do such weird things where I'm like, this is like some exorcism Emily Rose type stuff, where their backs are all bent back and they're just looking all weird on the street.
Well, like I said, man, the mind is a lot more powerful than we're allowed to believe.
Sure.
I mean, if you like, I fully believe that there are people that can move stuff with their minds. I fully believe that mind over matter is a much more powerful thing than we know.
Yeah.
So if they truly, to their core, believe that they are a wolf on certain days or affected by a certain thing and they're a wolf, their mind will do its damnedest to get their body to look like a wolf.
Yeah, and you know, I'm sure you remember the story about the guy who was supposedly on bath salts, the zombie case in Florida where he ate that guy's face. Did you ever hear the backstory on that and how they tested him and he had no drugs in his system? There was no bath salts in his system.
I never heard that. No, that's insane.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that he snapped. The only thing they found in his system was marijuana. That's what I heard. I was like, really?
What?
That's crazy. So this guy, do a little bit of research. There's another case much like it. So they're like, you know, the idea was something to the effect of maybe the government is doing some sort of experiments, maybe because the government, whether or not it was like a fake thing, actually had a protocol for a zombie outbreak, like a legitimate protocol. And the going back to Bigfoot, the Army Corps of Engineers has put out information that said, hey, there's also Bigfoot out in these woods. So just so you know, it's like Army Corps of Engineers, like they're joking around. Like the military's joking around about this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. And we've heard stories about military exercises, especially up here in Washington, where they're out in the woods and they see stuff they can't explain. So I don't know. When it comes to people being able to do extraordinary things, having somebody decide one day that he's going to eat somebody's face off, that tells me that people will do all sorts of crazy stuff. And if a guy thinks he's a wolf, I'm sure he could howl like a wolf. I'm sure he could act like a wolf. And like I said, I've seen some crazy do crazy things with their body and make them look super creepy and demonic. So, you know, if a guy wanted to get down on, you know, his hands and knees and act like a dog, I'm sure he could. But as far as Dogman goes, I believe people are seeing something that resembles a dog. Now, is it misidentification? I don't know. There's too many accounts where people have seen these things right in front of their face. They're looking at the whole thing, and their description is basically a Bigfoot with a werewolf head, with a canine head.
Well, I mean, like I said, there's something in us left over that we're supposed to be scared of things that look human but aren't human. And something walking upright through the woods, catching you unaware, that's not human, but it was walking upright. Because think about it, back then they were listening for anything that had 4 footsteps.
Yeah, 100%.
You wouldn't really think too much of something coming up on you with 2 footsteps. You just think it's another person coming up.
Definitely. So, what's your opinion on Dogman then?
I think they're out there. I mean, there's definitely no reason they couldn't be out there.
Okay, and you think it's a separate genus from Bigfoot?
Absolutely. The tracks are different. I mean, the only thing they have in common is they're mammals.
Very true. I'll be reaching out to somebody who's seen Dogman. We got to reach out to some of these people. I want to hear these stories. I want to be able to look at somebody and go, is this person full of it? Or did they really see something they can't explain?
Right.
You know? I really want to hear about this Puff Daddy stuff. So you're going to have to reach out to your friend. Now I'm curious.
Yeah, I am. I'm really curious now too.
Your friend named Cassie Drake. But yeah, I think that'll wrap up this week's episode about werewolves and Dogmen. We kind of skirted around the subject a little bit. I need to do some more research on this Dogman thing because I've heard of The Beast of Bray Road.
That was a fantastic film. Oh man.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
And it's good.
It's good. I mean,
okay.
for a small production company doing this all off a GoFundMe budget and everything, they do a fantastic job of going out there and getting information.
Perfect. I would love to get into horror movie reviews and stuff like that. That'd be kind of fun.
Oh,
I know you're a movie guy. We might have to do special edition episodes like that or something. That'd be fun. Okay. Yeah, so let's talk about that. Folks, that was Talking Paranormal. Matt and I would really appreciate it if you could help support the show by subscribing to our channel on YouTube, liking and sharing our videos. You can even share it and say, listen to these nut jobs.
Yeah. Oh, you can totally make fun of us. Just make sure you get the word out.
We've got no problem at all. You know, we wouldn't be doing this if we didn't have thick skin. And, you know, it really is fun. And we're trying to take a lighthearted approach to these subjects. And we're having a good time. But we really want to start spreading the word about the show. So if you could, just subscribe to us on YouTube. Find us and follow us on social media at Talking Paranormal Podcast. And if you or any of the people in your life have a paranormal story or experience, seen something you can't explain, or maybe even it's a secondhand account, reach out to us. And you can reach us by emailing story@talkingparanormal.com. We'd love to read it on the show, or you know, we could screen you and see if you are willing to come on the show and talk to us about it live right here on the podcast. So moving forward, again, I mean, we've been trying to be kind of eclectic with these episodes. You know, we've gone from Bigfoot, ghosts, UFOs. We just hit werewolves and Dogman. Who knows where this show is going to go, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I know I'm having fun, Matt. What about you? Come on.
Oh, I'm having a blast. I mean,
Right?
It's just a good time talking about different kind of things.
Yeah. And I like being able to have an open forum to discuss the craziest things you could possibly think of and not feel like I'm going to be lambasted. Like,
right?
You psychotic, you know, lunatic, you know what I mean? Because it's like, these are fun things to talk about, whether you believe it or not. You know what I mean? And the fact of the matter is, people are seeing things, people are experiencing things that cannot be explained, that science hasn't confirmed, that, you know, go against all of our, you know, all of our known science about physics and things like that. So all these subjects, crazy. And there's a world out there still waiting to be explored. And hopefully Matt and I will get a chance to get out there on the road. I hope someday that we can get to the point about where we're bringing in enough of a following to get us the opportunities to go out there in the field and explore some of these subjects a little bit further. I think that would be a lot of fun. This young lady, also known as my wife, wants to know when we're going to talk about witches, asking for a friend.
Man. When do you want to do it? I'm okay to talk about it. I think I got a couple people I can reach out to even.
Reach out to those people. I'll reach out to some of my people and we'll see who wants to talk about witches on the show. Because witches exist. Make no bones about it. Witches exist.
I'm more nervous to talk about witches than I am government conspiracies.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, have you ever walked by an occultist bookstore and just peered in and seen what kind of crazy stuff they got in there?
Hey man, I'm in the Bible Belt, and occultist bookstores do not exist.
Really?
No, there ain't.
Wow.
I know they're around. I know that they're
like
witches.
Underground and like hidden.
Oh yeah, I know there's witches, and I know there's literature around here, but it's real underground stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, you're not cruising to Barnes and Noble or anything like that. Like, I mean, I'm just being honest. I'm in the South. I'm in the Bible Belt. There ain't no occultist bookstore. I mean, did you hear what they did to the first emo kids in this state?
No. What happened to them?
You ever heard of the West Memphis 3?
Oh yeah. Connected back to Johnny Depp is in full support of like the head guy, the Damien Eccles. He's like a full supporter of that kid and gave him a full welcome when he got out of prison. That was in Arkansas?
Yeah, that was in Arkansas.
But it's the West Memphis 3. Is it Memphis in Tennessee?
Memphis is. West Memphis is across the river in Arkansas.
I had no idea. That's amazing. I did not know that.
So, oh man. Okay. So that case was so dirty and so poorly handled that the reason they won't let these kids like come after the state and the court system, there are judges and sheriffs and other people that are going to prison if these kids get to go after the state. I call them kids. They're full-grown men. They're probably older
Yeah.
than me. But if these guys get to go after them for how they handled this case, there are judges and sheriffs, retired sheriffs, going to prison. Like one of the kids, they literally abducted, locked him in an interrogation room for 12 hours, and screamed the confession at him until he read it back word for word when they recorded.
Wow, man.
And the only reason they got picked up and suspected was because they were goth kids.
Well, the Damien Eccles guy is a full-blown Satanist now, from what I understand.
Well, I don't really blame him for how he got treated.
Gosh, when it's pretty messed up when a kid, and from what I understand I watched a documentary on it, and I thought that they had come to like the soft conclusion that it was like adult male relative or something, like the
It was one of the
stepdad.
stepdads. It was stepdad. They believe it's one of the stepdads. But I mean, man, it was so poorly handled. Here you go. Here's one case. One instance. They were already looking for these kids. Okay.
Mm.
A deranged African-American gentleman stumbled into a Taco Bell covered in blood. Got blood all over the building, all over the bathroom, everything. Sheriff's deputy rolls through, stops at the Taco Bell drive-thru to ask him what was going on after they got called, and they told him, they said the guy left, and he goes, "Oh, you're fine then, just clean it up," and drove off. They were already looking for the kids.
Wow. Hey, guess where I'm not moving, Matt?
It's on the other side of the state. You're fine.
They're like, oh, we're looking for those guys that talk about weird stuff. Some weird stuff's been happening. We're gonna take them down.
Nah, we're fine over here.
Oh man. Oh god.
We're basically in like not Arkansas.
Not Arkansas. I didn't know that was a place that actually existed.
Northwest Arkansas is its own animal.
Okay. All right, I'll take your word for it.
We have more millionaires in Beverly Hills. I'm just saying.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder why is that?
Walmart.
I was gonna assume that, but I wasn't sure. Interesting. Okay.
I mean, Walmart brought a lot of it in, but I mean, there's other guys finding other revenues now, but and other avenues. But yeah, the main maker there was Walmart for sure. You know how many Lambos I've seen just cruising down the road here?
In Arkansas.
Yeah. Lambos, Ferraris, Ford GTs, Vipers.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. Man, I can't wait. I definitely want to take my kid to that zoo. That zoo looks amazing.
The Wonders of Wildlife? Man. If you guys come and visit, we're all going. It is stellar. Like, I love it there. James Lee loves it there. He loses his mind every time we go.
Is it outside of Arkansas? Do you have to travel out of the state, or it's in Arkansas?
You gotta go about 2 hours. It's in Missouri.
Okay.
It's
That's right. You told me.
It's part of Bass Pro.
Bass Pro Shops.
The owner of Bass Pro funded it.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
He's making a lot of money.
Well, yeah, but no, I mean, he just has such a love for the outdoors and everything. But I feel like they spent almost 10 years building this thing.
I believe it, because when I was working in Texas, I drove past, I think it was Texas where I saw this place. It was a Bass Pro Shops, and I was like, that looks like a Millionaire's Country Club. They were like on the lake. I was like, that looks amazing. And I'm not like even an outdoorsman, really. I was like, I kind of want to go check that place out. It looks so cool.
Man, their hotels that they have are...
Bass Pro Shops has hotels?
Uh-huh.
The things in the South, like I knew that I was in a different part of the country when I was driving down the road. And I looked at my trainer when I was still training, when I was an over-the-road truck driver, and I saw a glass pyramid, and I said, what the hell is that? I thought it was some weird sports stadium. He's like, oh, that's a church, brother. I was like, that's a church? My mind was blown, and it wasn't the only mega church I saw.
Oh, no, yeah, mega churches are a thing. So Bass Pro Shop has a pyramid in Memphis. It used to be a sports team complex. They bought it. They turned the bottom floor into a cypress swamp. So their boat displays are literally on the water with fish and sturgeon and ducks and everything swimming around. And then they have a bowling alley, like 3 restaurants, a elevator to the very top where there's a bar and restaurant up top. And then they have a hotel that's built onto the walls of the pyramid called the Great Cypress Lodge. My wife and I stayed in it. Brother, it was amazing. Like we got room service. We got fried alligator with jalapeno dipping sauce, steak and shrimp, everything.
My
Dude,
God.
bro, it was on fire. Like
Okay.
we had a screened-in porch overlooking the Bass Pro Shop.
Wow.
On our hotel room. So like then so that night when we stayed there, we opened the French doors to the front to the screened-in porch.
Yeah.
And everybody left. The store was closed. Everybody left. So all you heard was the waterfalls running. It was literally like you were in the swamp with waterfalls, and you were just chilling in a mini lodge. Like we had game mounts in there and everything. It was amazing. Like, yeah, they have like, oh, for sure, Bristy. Yeah, we're gonna have a hell of a time.
My mind is blown right now. Now
Dude.
I'm gonna ask you a serious question. How many brown people did you see in any of these locations?
First of all, several.
Okay. All right.
Second of all,
that's all I needed to hear.
How dare you, sir? No, there's. I mean, oh man, no, this.
Okay.
Outdoorsness is a huge part of our culture down here.
Well, I realized that when I was down there, I was like, oh, this is a different, because you have to understand, in Washington, the outdoors is huge up here.
Yeah.
The South does it differently, period. That's all there is to it. I was blown away. Like I said, when I saw that Bass Pro Shop on the water, I wish I could remember where it was. I was like, that looks like $1 million country club, and it's a Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, man. Look up, like, Big Cedar Lodge, Big Cypress Lodge. Look those up. Those are Bass Pro hotels.
wow.
Like look up Top of the Rock. They have Dogwood Canyon Ranch, which is a nature preserve in Missouri. You go on a trolley tour. They have bison, elk, and stuff like that. And the bison is gator's so good. Bristy's comment, she wanted to eat gator. Gator is so good.
Okay.
But
interesting.
But yeah, just look all this stuff up. I mean, you guys could have a hell of a time down here.
Oh, the problem with being an over-the-road truck driver is you don't get to stop really and explore. You get to see things on the road, and you're like, oh, that looks cool. And then you try to log it in your memory so you can go see it someday.
But no, man, yeah, Bass Pro, anything they do it big.
Okay.
Like, well, you heard they bought Cabela's, right?
Did they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bass Pro bought Cabela's. It's now Bass Pro and Cabela's.
How long ago did that happen?
A few years ago.
Okay.
Because we had a Cabela's here, and when Bass Pro bought, they took it over and turned it into a Bass Pro shop.
Interesting. I find it funny because, in Washington, we get these yuppie kids that clearly have never stepped foot in the outdoors, and they wear Bass Pro Shops hats, and it annoys the hell out of me.
I mean, every brand has those kinds. Like,
I guess
you got dudes down here rolling up to like Tractor Supply wearing an Ariat hat, shirt, and boots, and they've never even looked a cow in the face. So
I'd be lying if I said that I didn't have a pair of those boots in the garage.
Well, they're comfortable as hell. I don't blame you.
They are.
I
They're
love
the only
mine.
ones that
I've
fit
had
my
so
wide
many
feet.
pairs. Yeah. Oh,
but
I love them.
You definitely are a country boy. You messed with cows and stuff. Have there ever been any cases? Real quick, we're almost going on 2 hours, but I want to close the show off asking you this, and we'll talk about it on another episode. I just want to know flat out: have there been cattle mutilation cases in Arkansas?
Not that I've heard of, but you gotta also realize it'd be real easy for it to blend in. Have you ever heard of black-headed buzzards?
No.
So black-headed buzzards are actually a predatory buzzard.
Okay.
And they will pester cows and calves until they're exhausted, and then they will peck out their eyes and eat them alive.
This is so savage. My God.
It's metal, man. And they pass through here on a migration path. And we, like, my herd that I was in charge of had definitely had run-ins with them because a hawk swooped in on a mouse and startled a calf, and it let out a call. Bro, there was nothing left of that hawk. That whole herd stomped it.
On that note, folks, that was Talking Paranormal. My name is Chris Albrecht. That's Matt Monroe. Thank you for joining us. Every Saturday, we will be doing the show at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, and 7 p.m. Pacific. Remember, folks, anything